Start out with the Sawmill. The blade is 196 inches overall. It's 1.5 inches wide. I'm not gonna say where I get the blades from because nobody endorses me on those. I pay the outrageous price that I pay for them, but the blade I got on here is a little more expensive than most of the standard blades, and it lasts a whole lot longer. So you get what you pay for out there in the blade world, in the sawmill industry. The wheels themselves are actually 18 3/4 inch diameter, and we do have a few of those for sale on our website at tx-coverage.com under the industrial section. We also sell the wheel with the belt, which you see here. It rides in the V groove that grabs the actual blade itself. The shafts that I'm using on the pulleys are 1 inch diameter. I'm running pillar blocks. Hold that. The plate that they're attached to is 5/16 inch thick, and I'll get you the width on that. Give me a second here. I know I'm trying to take a little bit of guesswork out because when I built this one here, nobody really helped me. They're 10 inch by 10 inch. And with the way I've got it set up now, they're spaced out. What you see right here on the adjustment end, 1 inch and 7/8. Now, the measurements from this section right here I'm pointing to, all the way down to this other end over here where this nasty welding job is actually, let me see where I wrote it down here, or let me get you a measurement. Sorry about all the bouncing around, but I'm trying to do this by myself, folks. Give me 1 second here. It's actually 62 5/8. Like I said, now that's from the inside down on the plate on that end, all the way down to the inside of the plate on this end. So that'll give you some dimensions there. The outside dimension from here all the way to the other end down here to the outside is 60 inches. So that gives you the width of the overall top part of the sawmill. Now, this section here, measured from the outside of this 2.5 inch square tubing, from here all the way to the other end to the outside is 60 1/2 inches. So outside to outside, left post to the right post, which is right here, is 60 1/2. That gives you enough room for this piece of square tubing to travel up and down and slide evenly. The pulley that is on the back of this thing right here, that is attached to the drive on the motor or attached to the pulley on the back of the motor, is 11 1/2 inches in diameter. Now they make two different types of shafts. One, you could use this little squeeze collar or whatever they call it to tighten it up and keep it in place, or the one that presses on the shaft. I preferably like this type here because I can move it very easily if I need to. Pull the screws out, put them back in these two holes, it pulls this out, put them back in, it tightens it back down in the place you want it to. I've also, on the pillar blocks on this end, I started out with having the degree or the angle of this wheel further out this way by a fraction, maybe 1/4 inch. Keep in mind that whenever you load this blade on here and you put a lot of tension, there's going to be some stress, fatigue in this area here all the way through the system, all the way out to where this blade is hugging this wheel. So what I did was, when I set it up, I did it, bring it out, like I said, a little bit angle this way, maybe 1/4 inch. That way, whenever the blade you tighten the blade up, it's going to pull it back in, and it's going to put a lot of stress on it. And then I also got some car shims to shim up the pillar block if I needed to line the blade or line the pulley on this end after there was tension on it. once you get this inset over here, you pretty much don't have to do anything with it. The only time you're going to have to do any adjustments is going to be on this end. And I did it the same way. When I set it up originally, I brought this pulley out 1/4 inch this way. So if you're looking at this end of the sawmill all the way to the other end of the sawmill, you would say, well, the pulleys are out on each end. That is correct. When that blade tightens up, you're going to pull it right back in where you need it, and it's going to track real true. Now on this end, the pillow blocks are attached. There's no shims in either side, as you see here. But I've incorporated my one-of-a-kind adjustment that I haven't seen anybody else use out there on YouTube or on the internet. Two 5/16 inch plates, 1/2 inch rod, all thread, nuts on the inside, and nuts on the outside. As long as you've got this wheel spaced out evenly here and on the other end in the same location, right here in this area, you got these two wheels lined up the best you can. 95% of the time you can get all the adjustments you need out of these bolts here, the bolts that are on these plates. Not really hard. People are, I think, a little intimidated by that setup, but wow, I'm going to build another sawmill here in the near future, and when I do, it's going to have the same setup. I really like it. It's easy to load the blade on. It's easy to adjust. I can usually change it out in less than 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. To go up and down. Thanks for watching, folks. Hope you liked the video.
So this is the blade guide adjusting system. With this part here I can move this end up and down and thus adjust the diving or climbing of the blade. This is only meant for like angle changes up to a couple of degrees because it will start to bind on this threaded rod. But I think it will work, but we'll see. just tacked on right now. I'm gonna have to weld the brace here. Now this comes here, but it has to move. I more or less know what I want to do. I want to utilize the frame itself here, so I'm going to make a sliding frame on top of these two rails here. I'm tweaking the frame a little. So this is what I've managed to make so far. The full width of the cut will be this, which is like 35 right now, and the movement of this blade guide, which is 38 centimeters. But I'm gonna cut this part, I'm gonna shorten this part by 5 centimeters. I think it's enough. I think it's overkill. I'm not gonna make so wide slabs anyway. Well, I say that now, but it has to come closer than it is right now. So right about here. And it will have a third mounting point here, a slider to there. So the slider will come here, and I'm gonna probably put it on like this. So yeah, I will continue this build in the next video. I'm gonna hit the Trans-Euro Trail this weekend with my friends, so...
Push that one in, pull it out, and get more toward the center of the mill here when we're milling smaller stuff, and get a little bit more stability that way. So now, as I showed you in the previous video, this little thing here is mounted, there's a little swivel in here. You got your roller guide there, and you can adjust up or down by tightening one, loosening the other, tightening the other one. Okay, these things here, there's a little tail in there that moves up and down. So you saw that. That can, you know, make your adjustment that way or back and forth. And then for the in and out, up and down overall of this thing, I've got this set up right here. There's two nuts, and there's a rail that I milled out in here, and then there's a rail that I milled out. You can't quite, you can see the end of it there, okay? All right. So this slides back and forth, all right? So if I loosen this guy right here on the back side, whoops, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey is opposite when you're coming from the opposite way, right? Well, it's still the same, but it feels opposite. So we can slide that back and forth that way. And this is hard to do one-handed, but you get the idea. This slides back and forth. And there's just a little bit of a 1/16 of an inch rail on here that it sits on. I made this nice and tight in here so that there's not much play, and I only need one bolt going through here to hold it together, like so. Let's tighten this back up here, and then we'll loosen the other one. Don't ask me why one very ordinary man uses a Allen head on one and then uses a wrench over here, but that's the way she rolls, and part of that is because this is just a bolt sticking out of here, welded on the other side, and it was flat because it has to go past this flat area right here. But we can loosen this guy up, boom, and that slides down or up like so. All right, you get the idea, get the drift here. Let me see if I can tighten this up. Well, I can't tighten it up and hold it up at the same time. That's kind of hard to do. You get a close-up of my nut right there. Sorry about that. Okay, so that is the fashion of this grandiose thing. I made these one here and these one over here together on the mill, and they were milled in mirror image of one another basically, so all the pieces are the same. They were all milled at the same time. What's the other thing that I was going to point out? Oh yeah, I was going to point out the fact that my tube here, I've got a square tube in kind of the, oh, I don't know, what do you want to say it? The standard fashion, right? I mean, square is an up and down. I always like to point out things that I could have done better. You can see there's a little bit of wiggle woggle here. Okay, I don't know that that's necessarily going to be an issue when I get a blade on here, because the blade will want to push this thing upwards, but I would rather not have any wiggle woggle to this thing at all. You can see it's wiggling on the tube over here. I I've got a scheme to address this, so it's not really a big deal. But if you do look at some mills, and I think Matt Cremona's mill is made a little bit different. His tube is turned 45 degrees, so the peak, or this corner, is up at the top, and of course the corner is on the side, and that gives a little bit more stability. I think that would have been perhaps a better way of doing this, but, well, we got what we got here, and sometimes you learn and see things late, or you see things and you just say, you know what, I'm this far along, and so that's just too bad, and we'll address it. Now, I'm going to go to the other side. One thing I am going to point out here is that I have a mechanism for lining this whole thing up so it tracks with the blade as it pushes out or as it pulls in like this. And the way I do that is I have a little corner bracket right here, and you can see I've milled out a slot in this one. I've milled out a slot in the front one here, so I can tilt the back or the front up or down as the case may be. You'll see there's actually a gap right here. All right, so a little bit of room to tilt it up or down. And then I've also got a slot milled underneath in here, okay? So I can make this thing go one way or the other, the back and the front, in or out, just a little bit, and fine tune that adjustment. That allows this whole thing to ride precisely with the blade as it goes in and out. Otherwise, if your wheels happen to be just a little bit one way or the other, you know, so you can make, you know, there's, the more adjustments you have, to me, the better off you are, unless you're really, really good at making this thing in the first place. So I don't know if I'm really, really good. That's why I have to have a lot of adjustments.
Do the band sawmill business so far. I have finished the track. I did pour concrete tubes. I just used regular ventilation tubes. They are made out of aluminium, by the way. No, not aluminium. Actually, it's a coated steel, so it doesn't rust. Anyway, that's not important. I have finished the rack and also the log bench. The log bench works pretty well, I think. Basically, how it works is that I can lock the log into place with this screw, and it will tighten it against this back plate. This back plate is adjustable. I can lift it up and down if the log is more bigger or more smaller, it doesn't matter. And I can also lift this one up and down. I will also demonstrate. I can just unscrew this. Then I can change the height as I please. If it's a bigger log, I can lock it from more higher up. If it's a smaller log, I can actually lock it from more down. Yeah. Anyway, the locking is pretty easy. I can just screw it on, and this will push the log against this back plate. And basically, I can cut above this line so I don't hit this with my bandsaw blade. Yeah, I think that's called blade, I'm not sure. Anyway, this is finished. There are two locks. There is the other one. And the mill itself is not finished yet, but I'm hoping that I will be able to finish it soon. The lifting mechanism is finished. That's the only thing that is finished on this. And also these blades, basically, I will get 4 bearings. And this is my shaft, by the way. I will show you how I made this later. And this will go here and lock in place with the bearing. And yeah, on this top end will be the I hope it will stay here anyway. Yeah, I can screw it off with one hand. Maybe I will try anyway. Nope. Okay. Don't fall, please. Anyway, this hub assembly will lock to a tire, and as you can see, it has grooves. Maybe I can focus, please. Yep, it has grooves here, and these grooves will match with these grooves, teeth, I don't know, I don't care. And then I can finally lock this assembly to this hub assembly with this bolt. It's pretty, I think, foolproof. And this part also comes off, but I will weld this part to the shaft, so it will be more rigid. I don't really need that part coming off anyway. Yeah, stay there for a moment, please. By the way, I did not use cast iron wheels because they are hella expensive, so I will drive with these wheels first. These are rated at 50 kilograms each, so combined weight is 400 kilograms. And do not let it slide, of course. I added guide rails, 4 guide rails. These are all adjustable, by the way, with this. I can just adjust it the way I want. And this lifting mechanism works with this hand winch. And basically, if I want to change the depth of cut, then I can do this by just lifting or lowering the entire assembly up or down. It works pretty well, but there are some issues with it. For example, I cannot lift it to the very top because it will kinda get stuck here somewhere. So the leveling is slightly off, I think, but I will not deal with this problem right now. Maybe in the future. I just want to get it up and running for now. Anyway, I will show you how the shaft will work. Yep, I will place the camera here, and then you can hopefully see something. Okay, please stop moving. What the hell? Okay. Anyway, as I said before, the shaft will connect to this assembly, and then I can just screw this bolt here, and this will lock the assembly to this hub. And this hub can also be removed, but I think I will weld this together, mainly because I don't think this small thread here in the end will be able to hold this shaft together. As you can see, it's quite small, but it will screw into that and it will stay in level position. By the way, this is scrapped from a scrapped car, or salvaged from a scrap car, so these are pretty much dirt cheap and they are not worth anything. And this is a plain 35mm steel. It's full steel, by the way, and I took it to a mill where they milled my head off and made this thread here, and they also pressed this plate here so it will perfectly sit in the center, so there's no wobble or anything. Anyway, I did get a small engine also. This is a 6.5 liter gasoline engine, and it's pretty small, but I hope it will be powerful enough for starting purposes. If it is too weak, then I will obviously get something more powerful, but for now this will do just fine, I hope, because my chainsaw was only 2.1 kilowatts That's roughly 2.7 horsepower, I think, and it's not very powerful, to be honest. But this is 6.5 horsepower, and that's for I think like 5 kilowatts or something, so that's pretty decent power, to be honest. And a bandsaw mill doesn't need that much energy like a chainsaw mill, because chainsaw is cutting a much deeper cut, so it will be much lower. But I'm hoping this 6.5 horsepower engine will be good enough for starting purposes. But if it's not, I will get something bigger. It's not an issue. I did also get a clutch, because I don't want to build my own clutch. This is pretty much dirt cheap, and it was only like 60 or 70 euros. It's not that much anyway. It will go on this shaft, and it has a locking pin just like this shaft has, and I can put a belt on here, a V-belt or a straight belt, I guess. Anyway, I will be using this V-belt hub, and yeah, then I will need still I need a lot of parts for my build, but I guess I'm getting there, and hopefully eventually it will be finished. By the way, I did add these adjustable blades on both sides, so I can adjust the shaft and the wheel eventually until they're perfectly aligned. In the future, I think I will lock one side and start, if I want to change the bandsaw blade, then I will just unlock one side, and hopefully the other will stay same. But it's a work in progress basically, and I think I will change still a lot of things. But yeah, first things first, I do want to get it started, up and running, and I want to make my first cuts as soon as possible. By the way, this has a locking pin also. So I can just lock it in place and it will not go down. So yeah, I'm not sure what's up with my focusing option. Something is weird. Anyway, this is it for this video right now, and once I have progressed further, I will make another video. So yeah, thanks for watching.
Alright everybody, this is my mill, a sawmill I built, homemade. I think it's about a 17-foot log bed there. Those are spaced, I want to say, about every 3 feet. Basically the rail is just 2-inch by 2-inch angle iron, flipped up on its end there, and the wheels sit down in the groove. Fit down in there nicely, and basically just, you see it, it's a concrete pads there underneath the wood, and everything's bolted together, leveled, straight, leveled, plumb, whatever. It's all ready to go. This is the frame with a winch for lifting and lowering. See if we can get up here and show you a different view of it. Basically, you can kind of see what's going on here. The winch pulls one way and it loosens or tightens the cable for raising and lowering. That's all homemade there. Obviously it looks like it. So it's just a boat winch, regular boat winch, painted it to fit the paint of the sawmill here. This tubing here is 2-inch. This is 2.5, 3/16 walls. Basically, I've got a Duramax 18 horsepower engine. It's so far so good. I took the starter key off it. I didn't want to mount batteries and all, so took that off. Let's see. got a 3-inch pulley or sheave here from the engine, running a you know, just a lawnmower belt. Blade tensioner is basically just lever action blade tensioner. Puts pressure on the belt. I'm sorry, belt tensioner. And I'm running a 10 1/4 inch. 10 1/4 inch pulley running my wheel. Got pillow block bearings here and here holding my my axle in, and these screw holes on the back, top to bottom screw holes, are oversized about 1/8 of an inch to set my alignment on this wheel. I can move this back around just a hair and it moves the front a little bit. So there's my blade guides. They shift left to right on this rail. They can go all the way to this point, and this side can go all the way until you run into your axle, which would probably hit the wheel first. But either way, plenty of movement both directions. Motor mount is here. Is basically free floating off of this frame. It's the only way I could make it fit around this rail here. So that's that. This is the bottom side of the tensioner alignment side. I was having issues with my axle braking, so this middle bearing right here was added to support that. Basically that plate, the plate here that everything's attached to, slides inside of these angle iron grooves that I've welded in, and that plate slides freely side to side, front and back. It's a snug fit, but it's loose enough for that plate to slide around. On the top side of that, just run some threaded rod through. Here's a coupler nut welded to just a spacer basically between the coupler and the plate, and a threaded rod nut with cotter pins, so on both sides. It allows the rod to spin both ways without running through this channel here. Basically, depending on your movement, this one or this one, depending on your movement, in or out, would adjust the pitch of the wheel in or out this way. At the same time, tightening and loosening both of these at the same time are either going to tighten your blade or loosen your blade. So it's a 2-in-1 action here. You get tensioner and you get alignment. So basically, there's the alignment on the wheels. These are just, I want to say they're about 16 3/4 inches from top to bottom. From blade to blade, I think it's about 16 3/4 inches. These are smaller wheels. I didn't want huge wheels on here. These are Cook's complete blade guide assemblies. You can see multiple adjustments, top, bottom, sides, grease fitting. I want to say the bearing itself, this here is roughly 2 inches, I believe they advertise, but you can see adjustments in all directions. Basically this bolt slides all the way through and comes all the way back to about here, and obviously these, as you tighten or loosen, it's gonna shift this in all directions until you get it lined up with your blade. Because I'm using wheels, rubber wheels, instead of actual band tires, I set my gap here just a little bigger than what Cook's recommends, and that's because it tends to ride back further on these wheels than if they were on a solid or rigid wheel. So anyways, that's pretty much my sawmill build. I did forget to mention these, the tensioners for the frame. This is a turnbuckle. Obviously you can see that turnbuckle, and quick disconnects here if I need to disassemble this in a hurry. My cable system comes up into some homemade pulleys up here. See if we can't really see them. Let's get around here and see if we can see them. Basically some homemade pulleys. These are shower door pulleys. I think they're 1.5 or 1.25 inch, and they're basically bolted up in there with some angle brackets from Walmart, I'm sure. And they're just bolted up in there. The cable goes around it, comes around, and then as shown earlier, it attaches to this drive here, and pulls up and down. Same situation on both sides. It's the same thing. And the thing is, you can actually, once you get your blade set to the height with your bunk from here to here, here to here, be the same. I'm within probably a 32nd of an inch being the same on each side. When I first started, it was about an 1/8 inch off. So what I did was I came over here and adjusted this in or out and the one on that side in or out until this was, you know, level with the bunk. So I don't know what else really to talk about. That's pretty much my sawmill. As far as log dogs and all, these slide up. Basically they slide over, you wedge it into your wood, and then turn your handle and it secures it in there tightly. It's just a piece of, it's a 1-inch T over a 3/4 galvanized steel tubing, and I stole that from somebody. I don't remember who I can give credit for that, but that was works very well. I'm very happy with that. It was cheap, easy, simple little thing there that works. These are 1.5 inch square tubing I have, and this is, you know, leftover 2-inch tubing from the steel I bought for the mill. Basically undo my nut. This slides up and down however necessary, and can come out completely if I need it to. So on these, I had originally had built up a 1/2 inch higher than the log bed, and I ran into some problems with that. My recommendation would be to keep these flush with your log bed, or even, you know, 1/8 of an inch lower than your log bed. That way you can get rid of this and have a smooth flat bed completely from one side to the other. And basically those are 4-inch channel, and just square tubing, and you can see here lag bolt bolted in. It goes down, I think it's a 3-inch lag bolt. And anyways, pretty solid bed. I've put some logs on there that my tractor had a tough time even lifting, and I've had them on this bed and it's still level and straight. Basically you can see, I mean, I know it doesn't mean much, but that's a pretty level bed. And the boards I had left over from redecking my utility trailer. These are the boards that came off the trailer, so to keep them from just being wasted and thrown into a burn pile, I can walk behind my sawmill on top of the boards, and that's basically it. I'm not sure what else to go over here. basically it right there. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it helps you build yours. Thanks for watching.